Hey guys, welcome to Chocolate Covered Pages. Today I am going to be telling you guys all the books that I have read for 2020. It's not my normal numbers, but this has been a very hard year for everyone. And I'm lucky I have any books to show at all. So let's get into it. The first book that I finished in 2020 was No Fraternizing, an erotic urban novella by Brooklyn Mosley. At the end of December in 2019, I had started 1 and 2, and I was deep into the story, so I was like, okay, I definitely want to read part 3, and that is what I started off January with, and it was a nice short story to end the series, and it was really good. I'm looking forward to reading some more books from this author. Next book I picked up was Remembrance by Rita Woods, and this book is really good. It's a historical fiction about black people during slavery times with superpowers. I mean, you really can't go wrong with that type of premise, but I really enjoyed it. Definitely would recommend. The next book I picked up was Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson, and this is a young adult thriller. And this book is actually the first book I picked up by Tiffany D. Jackson, and it was certainly not the last, as you will see from this list. Tiffany D. Jackson is a freaking beast, and she is in a lane on her own. This book was sad, it was emotional, and definitely pick it up. The next book I picked up was Riot Baby by Tochi Onyebuchi. It made me realize that I really like Tochi's adult writing. Actually, a lot better than I like his young adult writing. So, get into it. This book is oh my gosh. This book is really short, but it's super powerful. Another book with black people with superpowers. So, I mean, I'm starting to see a trend here. I clearly like this. I do find this book to be highly underrated, and I barely saw anyone really talking about this one. So you might want to pick this one up. The next book I picked up was Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston, and I'm so mad because I cannot find my copy right now. I have been wanting to read this book for years, and I'm so happy that I finally got to get my hands on it and see what the excellence of Zora Neale Hurston was about. And this book is everything. Now know why a lot of people feel like this book changed their life. It's a very feminist novel. Definitely pick it up. For 2021, I'm looking forward to getting more into Zora Neale Hurston's other works. The next book I picked up was The Gone Dead by Chanel Benz, and this book is a mystery thriller written by a black woman. Yeah, this book was just fine for me. It was fine. Um Probably like 2 years from now, I probably won't even remember what this book was about. But while I was reading it, it was just fine. Sorry, I don't have other things to say about it, but I don't know. But if you're looking for more mystery novels written by black women, feel free to pick it up. The next book I picked up was Beloved by the Toni Morrison. And this book, I mean, I don't even know if I can articulate how amazing this book is, but it is amazing. It is everything that you would expect from a Toni Morrison novel, and I'm so glad that I was able to now be a part of conversations where people are talking about this book and its greatness, because it is absolutely great. It is horrific, it is amazing, it is just all of the things. Definitely pick this one up. And I also want to watch the movie. Can you believe I never watched the movie? I've never seen the movie ever. So I definitely want to get to the movie this year and see how it compares to the novel. The next book I picked up was Lakewood by Megan Giddings. And this book actually took me an entire month to read. Not because it was bad, because it was just so heavy on my spirit. Like, this book was just so, so heavy. And I felt when I was reading it, like it was just taking a lot from me. Does that make sense? I don't know. Drop down in the comments and let me know. Have a book ever made you feel like it was just taking from your soul, and not in a bad way, just the subject matter? This book is based on the Tuskegee syphilis trials, and it was just really, really hard for me to read, but this was a very important book. If you don't know what the Tuskegee syphilis trials were about, please definitely educate yourselves and look it up. The only thing I would say about this book that's bad is I wanted a little bit more from the ending. That's the only thing I would say. But everything else, wow. The next book I picked up was The Stranger by Harlan Coben. And this book was cool. Like, it was just cool. I think that I'm kind of moving a little bit away from strictly mystery novels, and I think I'm more so a thriller type of lover, because mysteries are just, for me, they're just not doing enough. They're just not doing enough for me. But that's a me thing. It's very possible that you could possibly like it. So what I will say is that the TV show on Netflix was way better than the book. So if you're just not even interested in the book, go check out that TV show, because it was actually pretty good. The next book I picked up was A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. This book is really short. It's a graphic novel, and it was really sad, but I don't remember all the details of it, so it's not like super memorable. But when I was reading it, I was enjoying it, and I just felt like it was really emotional and really tugs at your heartstrings. Another one of my goals for 2020 was to read some manga. I'm not going to say more manga because I was never reading any before, but I definitely wanted to get into some manga because I felt like there was this whole other world that I was missing out on. I'd been hearing about a lot of different series. My husband watches a lot of anime, but you know, I'm more for the books. So I'm like, oh, okay, that anime is good. Okay, let me pick up the book version, and then I'll watch the anime later on, and that could be something for us to connect on. So I first picked up Demon Slayers 1 and 2 by Koyoharu Gotoge. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. I'm trying. I thought that these were very interesting, but I don't think I got far enough into the meat of the series to say that I'm a huge fan of it. I did watch I watched maybe the first and second episode of the anime, and those were really good. The graphics are really, really amazing. And they're very much the same as the manga, just so you know. But I definitely think that I've read enough to where I do want to continue on with the series and find out where does this story goes, because this story is very, very popular. So I just want to see what the hype is about. The next book I picked up was The Girl with the Louding Voice by Abi Dare, and this book was super inspiring. I read this book at the height of the COVID lockdown, and I found this book to be very inspiring at the time. It was exactly what I needed. I highly recommend everyone pick this up. I don't feel like enough people have really talked about this book this year, and it definitely deserves all the love and the praise. The next book I picked up was The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides, and this book has a very good premise. This is a thriller novel, very good premise. It's been all over BookTube, Bookstagram, wherever. Is a very popular book. I feel like it had a few dry spots in the middle. I was listening to this on audiobook, and it just had like a few dry spots in the middle where I was just like, all right, can we just get to it? But the ending really saved this book for me. Otherwise, I was about to be like, I don't even know what y'all was talking about because everybody's been going on and on about this book. But when I got to the ending, I was like, oh, that's why everybody loves this book. So Just thought you guys should know. It has a few dry spots sprinkled into the middle. The next book I picked up was I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid. And this is another horror novel. It's really short. I think it's like 4 hours on audiobook. This is another one. A few dry, repetitive spots in the middle where you're just constantly listening. I was listening on audiobook, but you're just constantly listening like, okay, what is this about? Because it's a very eerie type of atmosphere, which I like, but you don't really know what the hell is going on, and then you finally figure out what's happening once you get to the twist, and that is what makes this book again. So we got 2 books that have a few little dry spots in the middle, but then you get to the end and it's like, pow. Okay, I see why people like this. Next book I picked up was Lock and Key Volume 1 by Joe Hill. This is a horror graphic novel, and it's also a Netflix series, which I definitely want to pick up, which is why I picked up this graphic novel, because I want to watch this series for sure. But I only read Volume 1, and I thought it was cool. I thought it was a good start. We'll see where it heads to after Volume 1, because I really just want to watch the series, but I'm holding myself back. The next book I picked up was another manga, and this one's called Vinland Saga Volume 1 by Makoto Yukimura. I thoroughly enjoyed this Volume 1. I'm not gonna, like, this Volume 1, this story, like, oh my gosh. This was good. This was good. Just straight out the gate, this Volume 1 was so good. And I'm just like, I don't understand why is no one's talking about this series that much. Or maybe I'm not in that many anime circles, but I'm just saying, like, I don't hear people talking about it. But this first volume was really, really good. Like, I was pulled in, like, oh my gosh, what's next? Like, I just kept flipping, like, this is a good ass story, like, to the point where I even, after Volume 1, I went to watch a few episodes of the anime, which I know I shouldn't even have done that, but it's good. It's so good. It's like, do you like Viking stuff? I love Viking stuff, like killing and that type of stuff. Like, I'm into that stuff all the way. So if you're into that, you definitely want to pick this one up. The next book I picked up was The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. And I mean, this book is very popular. Everybody's been talking about it. I've been talking about it. It's really good. That's it. That's all I got. I really enjoyed it. It's a historical fiction novel. It came out at the perfect time. And I just did, like, just the story in this book just really resonated with me. There's a lot of talk on colorism, which is really important to me. That is a theme that I will always gravitate towards, because I have dark skin and I have been a victim of colorism too many times to count. So I love stories like that really shine a light on colorism, because it is not talked about enough. The next book I picked up was The Dutch House by Ann Patchett. I was not a fan, okay. I found this book to be a little boring. 9 hours worth of boringness, to be exact. And I wish we were following a different main character. I feel like the character that we were following in this book was a bit boring. And I just feel like if it wasn't written by Ann Patchett, people would be a little bit more critical of this book. But that's just my opinion. Next book I picked up was Braised Pork by An Yu. I wasn't crazy about this one either, and that this one is actually my fault because I didn't really read the synopsis. I just liked the title that it was called Braised Pork, and I was like, that sounds delicious. But when I was actually reading it, I realized that it was magical realism, and I personally am not a big fan of magical realism. I am like, this needs to be real life, or this needs to be all the way fantasy for me. For me to like wrap my brain around it. Like it just yeah, it just wasn't for me. The next book I picked up was Catherine House by Elizabeth Thomas. Wasn't a fan of this either. If you watch my other video called Books That Wasted My Time, this was I think book number 1. This book was a waste of my time. Honestly, it was a waste of my time, and pretty much anyone that reads this will tell you that this book is kind of a waste of time, period. There's no real plot. Nothing really happens. When you get to the end, nothing really happens there either. It's like day-to-day kids in school, this creepy school. I will give it to the author. It is quite atmospheric, which is cool. Yeah, dark academia is hot right now, so this is gonna be something that people might be interested in, but I need a little bit more than atmosphere. I need some shit to happen, and nothing happened. You also argue that this was a character-driven novel. Didn't like the character. Just didn't connect with her. Didn't care for anything that she was doing. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's move on. The next book I picked up was The Lesson by Cadwell Turnbull, and I really enjoyed this book so much. This is a Caribbean first contact with aliens type of book. And I know, sounds like dope, right? It is, because the aliens look like regular Caribbean black people, except they will turn up and kill you very quickly. So so there's that. I think that this book is highly underrated. Another very underrated book. And I don't understand why more people aren't talking about it. So I'm just going to talk about it here, and I will urge you to definitely pick this one up. The next book I picked up was Ethic Book 6 by Ashley Antoinette, and I was just happy to finish this series. I'm gonna be honest with you. I needed to finally finish this series. It has dragged the hell out from book 1 to 6. As a whole, it is a great series. If you are into black romance, it is a very good series. You will love it. But the problem I have is that these 6 books could have easily been 3 dope ass books. We didn't need 6. We definitely did not need 6 books. But definitely still pick it up. I'm already on to the next part of the series, which is called Butterfly, which follows one of the characters from Ethic 6, and I will definitely be reporting back to decide if that needed to even happen or not, but we shall see. The next book I picked up was The Stars and the Blackness Between Them by Junauda Petrus, and if you've ever read the book The Fault in Our Stars, just think of this as a Caribbean version, basically. Caribbean queer version, because as you can see that there's 2 ladies on the front. And this book, I found the writing to be really beautiful. Like, the writing was really beautiful, but there is a very small amount of magical realism in it as well. It's a very spiritual book. I did enjoy this one, but I wanted more from the ending. Like I just wanted more from the ending. That's all I have to say about it. But I am really excited to see what else this author comes out with. I would definitely be picking it up. The next book I picked up was Neighborly by Katrina Jackson. And this book was the poly romance that I've been searching for my entire life, and it is very, very short. It is spicy. It is good. I would love another book, another follow up to that book to see what happens after Neighborly, but I don't think it's gonna happen. But it's very, very short. So if you just want like a romance book that's poly, that's super short, or you just want to try to get into some and see if you like it, definitely pick that one up. The next book I picked up was Allegedly by Tiffany D. Jackson. And again, another YA thriller. This book will leave you speechless. And that's all I'm going to say about it, because, you know, it's a thriller. I don't want to say too much, but it definitely will leave you speechless. I was honestly speechless. Like, no one closes this book without a very strong reaction. The next book I picked up was Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson because I cannot stop reading all of her books. I want to read all of her books, honestly. I would show you guys my copy of it, but I gave it away to my husband's goddaughter because I just feel like it is such an important book that our teens need to read, especially our black teen girls. They need to read it. 14, 15, not 14. 15 and up, I would say. And it has been amazing being able to discuss the book with her and get her perspective on it. And that was my reasoning for pushing it in her hands and making sure that that she understood what the book was trying to convey, because it's very, very important. This is not, Tiffany D. Jackson says that this is not the R. Kelly story, but if you're reading it, it is very similar. So just think of that and you'll know fairly kind of what the premise of this book is about. How these older men in power tend to prey on our young girls, and how disgusting it is, pretty much. And we need to believe our young girls when they say things. So definitely pick that up. It's a very, very important read. It would be very hard to read at times, but you just gotta push through because the message is there. Next book I picked up was Salvage the Bones by Jesmyn Ward. This book didn't really work for me. And I'm not too upset about it because I really don't think I'm the target audience for this book at all. This book is YA, but it is YA on the younger end. Like, it is very, very YA. Usually when I do YA, I can usually grab some very adult themes out of it. But this is very YA. This is like day to day of these kids. I believe that they're in Mississippi, and this is talking about, this is the countdown to Hurricane Katrina. And it is a very important book. There's some pretty interesting themes in here, but it was the day-to-day minutia of these kids and their dog and, you know, trying to survive that I didn't really connect to because I'm too old. So I would definitely still recommend it for someone that's about 14 or so. The next book I picked up was An Ember in the Ashes by Saba Tahir, and this YA fantasy is everything. Like, it is so good. It's so fast and just action-packed, and characters that we just absolutely love. Some not so much, but most of them we love. And this was a really good start to the series, and of course I had to keep picking them up. The next book I picked up was The Coldest Winter Ever by Sister Souljah, and I actually hosted a read-along for this back in August, and it was so much fun. So much fun. This was a reread for me, and a lot of the people that joined my read-along, this book came out when I was about 13. And I read it when I was 13. This book is not for kids. This is definitely not for kids. But I read it anyway because it's what kids do. They don't freaking listen. And reading it in my 30s really made me realize how much I didn't know what the hell I was reading at 13. Like, I just didn't get it, like, at all. It went completely over my head. And as an adult, I was very angry reading from the point of view of Winter, who's the main character in this book. And I had so many thoughts about her, but I was reading Winter's perspective and thinking of her as like a younger sister whose butt I wanted to beat. But when I was 13 and I was reading it, I was just like, she's so cool, she's a bad bitch, and I want to be like her. It's just so funny how, like, reading a book years later just gives you so much more of a different perspective. Nevertheless, this is a classic for sure. So you definitely want to pick this up if you've never read it before. The next book I picked up was A Torch Against the Night by Saba Tahir, and this is book 2 in the Ember in the Ashes series. And you cannot read an Ember in the Ashes without wanting to immediately pick up A Torch Against the Night, because you just like, I need to know what's gonna happen next. So I read that one. So good. That one was so good as well. Saba Tahir continues to rip our hearts out. Is what she does. I think she slightly enjoys it. And just more world building, different environments, more characters that we love. There's the next book in a series called Reaper at the Gates, and the finale, A Sky Beyond the Storm, also came out maybe a month ago. I have saved those 2 books because I want to read them in 2021 for sure. Because I wasn't I didn't want my heart ripped out anymore in 2020. I was done with that. So I will definitely pick those 2 up in 2021. Of course, staggered, because you know I just can't take too much of ripping of my heart. So definitely look out for those this year. The next book I picked up was Lovecraft Country by Matt Ruff. And the TV show had come out, and I was just, no, actually, the TV show was about to come out, and I was just thinking, well, first of all, I've always wanted to read this book. I've always wanted to read this book before the TV show, but when the TV show was coming out, I was just like, well, now is the time. I definitely, because I knew I wanted to see the TV show without question. So I started reading this book. This book is good. This book is good. I love the concept. I love the themes. That's annoying. I love the themes in this book. The author is white and the characters are black, most of them. But I think that the author does a really good job. Like, you could tell that he did his research, and he did his thing. But the TV show is better. I'm just going to put that out there. I feel like the TV show has taken his foundation and they have expounded upon it and have turned it into the greatness that is the TV show. The next book I picked up was The Aunt Who Wouldn't Die by Shirshindu Mukhopadhyay. And this book is this is translated fiction. I can't seem to find my copy right now, so I'm just going to insert a picture of the book. This is a super short book. I think it's like maybe 4 hours on audio. This book is a lot of fun. Like, I was chuckling the whole way. Very funny. Important feminist themes in this book. I don't know what else to say about it. Definitely pick it up. Next book I picked up was A River of Royal Blood by Amanda Joy. I think that this was a good start to a series. I'm really excited to see what happens next. I had a few gripes as far as you know, the sisters are supposed to be fighting for the throne, but I don't feel like during the book the sisters had enough interaction for me. Like I wanted more. I wanted more from the both of them. I wanted more interactions between the main character and the mom. I just wanted more of that, and I'm really hoping that with the next book in the series that I will definitely get what I'm looking for. So we'll see what happens. Nevertheless, I do think that that is a pretty solid start to a new series. And we're always here for black young adult fantasy anyway, so keep them coming. The next book I picked up was The Good House by Tananarive Due, and this was a black paranormal book that I didn't know it was paranormal. This is what I get for not reading the synopsis sometimes. Like if I think that the book is gonna be like thriller, mystery type, I won't read the synopsis because I want to like just go into it blind. So when it turns out that something is paranormal, I'm always like, oh, I didn't know that. But this book was good. I really enjoyed it. A little long. I feel like it could have been a little bit shorter, but it was really good. And I definitely want to pick up more books from this author who is an OG. She's been putting out books for a long time, and you know, we just don't hear enough about them, unfortunately. So I definitely want to read some more books from her. I do own Bud Colony by her, so I might pick that one up next. Next book I picked up was Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. Oh my god, this book is so good. Like this book is so good. If you're into adult fantasy, solid freaking adult fantasy, like killing, hot sex, world building that is just unmatched, unique world building, okay? The magic system like we've never seen before. Like what? Oh my gosh, reading this book, I was just blown away. I was just blown away. I am here for all things adult fantasy, but especially ones that have characters of color. This is what we have been looking for. Like, am I yelling now? Because I feel like I'm yelling. I'm getting excited because I want you guys to pick up this book. Like, pick it up. That's it. I'm not saying nothing else about it. Just pick it up. That's it. The next book I picked up was Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter by Curtis Jackson, aka 50 Cent. Gems. Gems upon gems. Like this book, this is part self-help, part memoir. And man, like this is really written by Curtis Jackson, not 50 Cent. And he says that, like, Curtis Jackson is the businessman, okay? 50 Cent is a rap persona. This man is about his business, okay? When I read this book, I was just feeling like, yes, let's go do it. I'm here. It's time to get this money. It's time to you know, I was just ready to make moves when I finished reading this book. And I love how like everything he tells you, like every rule he tells you, he gives you an example of how it has helped him in his own personal life. And he tells you about his life. Like he gives us a peek behind the curtain on Curtis Jackson and what he's really about, and that he's really not just this persona that you see on Instagram dragging people all day. Like he's way more than that. Like he is so intelligent. Like this is just really good. This is so good. Like I think I even have like some washi tape little things in here, and this is definitely a book that I will continue to go back to, because he's talking that shit in this book, okay? The next book I picked up was The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. Y'all gonna be mad, but I wasn't crazy about this one. And the reason why I wasn't is because, one, let's just say the premise, excellent. Girl makes a deal with the devil. Excellent, okay? Now no one can remember her, but she is immortal. Excellent premise, okay? I'm here. I'm interested. Now what else do we have going on? So the issue that I have is that the middle seemed to be a bit repetitive for me. Like, it was kind of like living a lot of days, like living a lot of the same days, like Groundhog Day. Like, a lot of the things were happening over and over. And I can understand that we would have to see some of that in order to see examples of people not being able to remember her. But oh my god, this book is really long, and I have like like, I don't know, by like the fifth time I was kind of like over it. I'm just gonna say that. And I feel like that kind of like soiled the book a little bit for me, because I was really interested in everything that was going on, but it was just, it was dragging on for too long. That's what it was. It was dragging on for too long, and I wanted it to just get to the point. Like, and does it mean something bad if my favorite character was the devil? Because he was my favorite character. Like, when the devil showed up, I was like, oh, good. Like, I was like, oh yeah, it's about to go down. Like, that was the most exciting parts for me, is freaking Luke, the devil. But anyway, y'all still gonna pick this up anyway, because it's written by V.E. Schwab. It is what it is, okay? Don't try to drag me in the comments neither. That's all I'm gonna say. The next book I picked up was The Secret Lives of Church Ladies by Deesha Philly, y'all. Y'all, look at, I want y'all to just see like all my little washi tapes and just notes and things that I put in this book. This is a short story collection, right? I don't do short story collections. I don't do anthologies. I don't do those. You know why? Because I don't like to be teased. I don't like reading a book and feeling like, oh, but I wish I had some more. Oh, I really like these characters, but I want some more. No. But what really made me pick this up is the title of this book. I am someone that has grown up in the Black church, and I knew that there was going to be some dragging in this book. And I'm here for it. Man, this book was everything I had hoped it to be. Like, the stories in this book, yes, they are short, but they're so good. They're so good. They're so true to the Black church that it is scary. There's not a lot of books out there that really talk about what really goes on in the Black church. Like, there isn't. And I just love how the author just lays it all out there. Whether we like it or not, this is the truth. So definitely pick this one up. It's really short. I read this in one day. I was in this chair. I did not move out of this chair. And I just sat here and I just read it all day long, because it was really good. And I even got really so excited about the book and so inspired, I decided to recreate the cover, which I will pop a picture over here. What you think? What you think? Let me know. The next book I picked up was Layla by Colleen Hoover. This is actually my first Colleen Hoover book. I wanted to read Verity, but I never got to it. And I know everybody goes crazy about Verity. I never read it. So I heard that she was coming out with a book that was similar to Verity. So I was like, well, let me hop on this one real quick before everybody starts reading it and talking about it, and then I get spoiled and blah, blah, blah. This book, for me, it was just cool. Yeah, like, it was just cool. I wasn't blown away. I wasn't super impressed. I had a lot of questions while I was reading it. When we got to the twist, I was just kind of like, Oh, that's what you came up with? Like I wasn't. It was just a lot of very strange moments. But I went into Layla thinking that it was going to be about one thing, and then it ended up being about something else. But it does keep you guessing. You're probably not going to figure out the twist because the twist is just so damn strange. But if you're a fan of Colleen Hoover and Verity, you probably will like it as well. But now I do want to read Verity to see, am I going to feel the same exact way that I felt for Layla. Another book that I read in 2020 was Crown of Midnight by Sarah J. Maas, because I am slowly making my way through the Throne of Glass series. Just to kind of see what all the hype is about. I did enjoy A Throne of Glass. It was like candy. I just ate it up. Not, some of the best literature I've ever read in my life, but very entertaining. This, on the other hand, I found to be a bit kind of boring for at least 200 pages. But then the last, I want to say like the last 100 pages, it just turns up. Like I was ready to just close the book like, okay, I'm done with this series. But then out of nowhere, things just get wild, crazy. And I was like, okay, so this right here is why people love this series, because I was not expecting any of this. Like it just, the ending made the book for me, for sure. Otherwise, I was ready to just be like, nah, I'm just done with this. But I definitely want to continue with this series this year. From what I can see, they get a bit longer and longer, so that part doesn't really excite me, because she better not be waiting to the last 100 pages of a 600 page book, because I'm not doing this with you, Sarah. Like, I'm just not. So hopefully the next one actually starts right away. So that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for rocking out with me. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Hit me with a like if you enjoyed it. And let me know, what are some really good books that you read in 2020? Bye!